Hi, my name is Mark Biernot, and I'm an economist. In this video, I'm going to talk about our economist or geopolitical commentators, generally Keynesian, specifically Peter Zeihan. Peter Zeihan is somebody who I respect and I like. How can you not like that guy? He's kind of like, gives you the warm fuzzies. He's usually outside, similar format to me recently. And he talks about geopolitical analysis, and he weaves in economic analysis. So Peter Zeihan, I would give him maybe an A for geopolitical. He's doing the best he can using the knowledge he has. But for economics, maybe a B. And the reason is he uses a Keynesian framework for analyzing macroeconomic economies. Now, Keynes himself did not say y equals c plus I plus g. That was a Keynesian idea. And the Keynesians ran with it, particularly political policy makers. Y being the national income, G being government expenditures, and I being investments. Now, Zeihan looks at the most important part, which is C, and he translates demographic shifts in the geopolitical realm, such as China or the United States retiring baby boomers, China potentially declining population. He translates the consumption component into a decrease in consumption and a at least temporary shift in the companies that are players now and will be. And generally there's malaise or let's say some inertia on the economy going forward. He sees that in Europe, he sees that in China, and he sees that going forward, we're going to hit some headwind in the United States. But again, my underlying premise is he's interpreting it using a Keynesian framework. And why is this not optimal? Because the Keynesian framework is a top-down approach, a macroeconomic approach. It implies that if you turn the dials down or up, or the dials are turned down or up for you, like demographics of the baby boomers retiring, and then consumption is turned down because as you hit retirement age, your consumption goes down. This leads to a conclusion that the gross income of the economy will be down. And I disagree respectfully. Like I say, personally, I really like the guy. He seems like somebody that is very warm and friendly and outdoorsy, and he has a very upbeat analysis of the world, which I like. But for economics, I would take a step back and say, now, isn't economics a little bit more complex than that? And in fact, I'm a little bit Austrian-esque, but I'm not an Austrian economist. However, I always default back to microeconomic foundations. And these microeconomic foundations are very hard to look at from a large point of view, from a geopolitical point of view, or from a view that, this happens, therefore that will happen. Macro trends, so to speak. The reason is nobody can predict the future, and it always changes, and microeconomic agents, entrepreneurs, are always forward-looking and compensating and shifting and adjusting. So if they see a trend of the demographics changing as a profit-making entity or an individual, they are going to mitigate that and compensate for that. They'll immediately be shifting because I have a profit incentive. If I run a business, which I do, and I see a trend going away from one sector and going into another, I'm going to be ahead of the curve. What that translates into, Peter Zeihan is looking at the trend and saying, as a Keynesian, which I believe he is, consciously or subconsciously, this is the way we're going to go. I don't believe that. I believe that at a whole, economy are being lifted by technology and entrepreneurship in ways that we can't even conceive. And the economy is only getting better and better and better. We may have a recession. Europe is pulling back, and the numbers, look like that. And yes, he's correct that because the current administration is investing a lot in green energies and defense, we have a fiscal stimulus, which is translating also into a debt problem, but that's another topic. But there is always the saving grace of technology and innovation that is overriding a lot of the, let's say, foolishness that we get involved in as macroeconomic policymakers or predictors. And me personally, I take a look around my own neighborhood, my own business, and what people are doing. Because first of all, recessions and growth are always localized. Even during the Great Recession or the Great Depression, some states were booming and some sectors were booming. And for the most part, the aggregate was down. So what bubble do I personally live in? And you have to ask yourself that question. So again, Peter Zeihan, very good geopolitical analysis, and it's very entertaining. But I don't believe he is an A-class economist, and I don't preach that I'm an A-class economist. I don't know if anybody is. I would just ask him to start to consider that don't put so much emphasis on this Y equals C plus I plus G equation that, okay, the current administration is investing in green technology, but demographics are going down, and there's boomers are hitting the retirement, or China's, their demographics are going down, or Russia has a demographic problem, so consumption is going to be suppressed. Because the economy is not really driven, although statistically, to some extent it is, by consumption. It seems like a contradictory point, but it isn't. It's a more complex point. It's really entrepreneurial investments and investments of forward-looking entrepreneurs being flexible in the capital lengthening and capital allocation process in a temporal through time. And when I am making a decision for my personal business, I'm considering these things and trends, not the general macroeconomic trend. So, yes, keep on watching and listening to Peter Zeihan, good man, but also take him with a grain of salt that he's doing it through the lens of Keynesian economics. And I invite you to read people like everybody from Adam Smith to any of the Austrian economists like Hayek and Mises, but don't stop there. Read the Swedish economists like Wicksell or Lindahl, okay, or David Davidson, and read some modern economists and GDP targeting economists, people that believe in, productivity gains will often drive economic growth more than maybe demographic shifts. And you never know about these demographics, because as much as people say are this is declining or this is increasing, oftentimes there's an unexpected rebound. So Peter Zeihan, keep on watching him. Me, definitely watch. And consider that what I have to say. I am not a Keynesian. I don't recommend Keynesian economics. And don't worry, everything's going to be great. A few bumps in the road maybe, but we're still heading towards a positive trajectory. And that's the economics of today. Thank you very much. Have a great day.